Welcome. We're so glad you're here for this very special occasion. My name's Tom Hiles, and I'm Vice Chancellor for University Advancement. And I always get to say this is my favorite thing to do when we're getting an opportunity to announce important support for Mizzou. So it's a very special occasion, and my job today is to introduce our dais. So in a moment, Chancellor Bowen Lofton will be providing the announcement for this special occasion. After Chancellor Lofton's remarks, Dean Mills will be speaking on behalf of the Missouri School of Journalism, and then our special guest of honor today, Timothy Blair, will then respond from there. Timothy's a journalism graduate from 1973. Also in town are many members of the Jefferson Club Board of Trustees, the MAA Governing Board, members of the Chancellor's Society Development Board, so it's a big, and also MU Plan Giving. But they're meeting right now, so they couldn't be in attendance, but we were able to bring Tim over to meet some of those volunteers earlier today. So a special thanks to all those volunteers. And after the announcement, there will be a reception here in the Student Center as well, and will be available for some media as well. So with no further ado, let me introduce our Chancellor, R. Bowen Lofton.
M-I-Z. It's a great, echoes. It's a great day at Mizzou. This is a wonderful time for us to both announce and thank a very special graduate of Mizzou for a very special and very impactful gift. We're so glad for all the teamwork that went into this, but this is our second gift announcement this year for the School of Journalism. So, Dean, on your way out, you're doing a pretty good job here, keeping them coming in. We like that, okay? And this is our fifth gift announcement overall for the semester. This gift is the first of its kind we're aware of for any university in the nation, so it truly bears the need for special attention and special recognition. Let me talk a bit about the giver, though, Timothy Blair, right here in front of us. Note how stylishly dressed he is, by the way. I appreciate that, sir. And I see a special person out there wearing one, too, okay? I feel good. Timothy is a 1973 graduate of our School of Journalism, and importantly, he's the seventh member of his family to earn a BJ here at Mizzou. Think about that. But also, he's a seventh generation graduate of Mizzou. Think about that one. His family is one of the original founding families from 1839. So this is a legacy, sir. Any way you count it, any way you count it. We love it. Now, he looks very relaxed but yet stylish with his bow tie. His background's in public relations. He's worked for banks, hospitals, higher education, a variety of clients during his great career. It's my extraordinary pleasure to announce that Timothy has made a gift of $1 million to our School of Journalism in programmatic funds to research coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender in the media. This is so special. This is a topic that's very central to the future of Missouri in terms of our ability to be a diverse, welcoming campus. It really addresses a part of the media where I think few have gone before. And again, this is, to our knowledge, the first gift of this type ever made for this purpose at a university in this country or even in the world. This gift will further advance the MU School of Journalism as the world's leader in journalism education, research, innovation. It is of the utmost importance that our journalists be well informed on a wide range of topics so they can more accurately report all important social issues. Our entire community is grateful to Mr. Blair for his generosity and for supporting an industry that is vital to our democracy. Tim's hopeful this will inspire others to make similar gifts both here and elsewhere to research and drive home the message in this particular area. Here to explain the impact of the gift on our School of Journalism, though, is Dean Mills.
Oops. Thank you, Chancellor Lofton. We at the school are very grateful to Mr. Blair for his generosity and for his commitment to improving journalism in American society. I'm also delighted to be able to recognize something the Chancellor has already mentioned, his family's long legacy here and its many contributions to both the Missouri School of Journalism and to our profession. Mr. Blair has deep roots in Boone County and with the University of Missouri. A member of his family was active in founding the university in 1839, and 7 generations of his family attended Mizzou, including 7 who graduated from the J School. His grandfather, Kogel Blair, a former curator, served as publisher of the Joplin Globe and received the Missouri Honor Medal for Distinguished Service in 1960. Tim's great-uncle, Morris Harris, a 1921 graduate of the school, had a distinguished career as a foreign correspondent for the Associated Press, much of it in China. The Blair family's philanthropic support of Mizzou is longstanding. In 1971, members of Tim's family endowed the Kogel Blair Prize, which annually recognizes a senior journalism student who has demonstrated excellence in editorial writing. Through today's groundbreaking gift to the School of Journalism, Mr. Blair continues his family's philanthropic and pioneering spirit. The Timothy D. Blair Fund for LGBT Coverage in Journalism, to our knowledge, the first of its kind, will support journalism education and research into how journalists treat issues related to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. We at the School of Journalism are deeply grateful for the gift. It will underwrite teaching and research on topics that historically have been undercovered or miscovered. The proceeds from Mr. Blair's endowment may be used for the support of faculty and students interested in LGBT journalism, for research and travel, for media coverage of LGBT issues, and for curriculum content regarding LGBT topics. LGBT civil rights has been among the most significant social topics of the past several decades. And it's important that our future journalists are educated to cover those issues with the same tradition of accuracy and fact-finding that has always been a hallmark of the School of Journalism. This generous and unique gift will position the Missouri School of Journalism to be a leader in this area. I am now delighted to be able to introduce Tim Blair.
Thank you. I have to say that I'm humbled to be here. First of all, I haven't been here in a very long time, and to see this campus and to see the changes has really just been quite a surprise, and it's actually phenomenal. But first, I want to say thanks to Chancellor Lofton and, of course, Dean Mills. Those were very kind words, and they're going to be words that are kind of hard to live up to. But what I do want to talk about in brief is what this school has meant to me, and in broader terms, how it's really helped to guide my life. There are 3 things in my life I think that are most important. The first is my family, who gave me a sense of what living an ethical and honorable life is about, and what living a fair life is about, and treating other people in the same manner. Second thing is my church, the Episcopal Church. It's informed me about what God is and the fact that God loves all of us as his children. And then thirdly is the University of Missouri School of Journalism. And what it taught me was, it gave me professional integrity, and it told me to tell the truth. So that's why I'm here. Now, there are a couple stories I want to relate, and really, I hope they're entertaining. At least the first part is. My great uncle Morris Harris, graduated in 1921. He had a colleague, Edgar Snow, who actually did not graduate from the School of Missouri Journalism, but both of them went to China. Both of them ended up a year after they graduated, and we're talking about young people in their 20s. My uncle went to join the AP Bureau in Shanghai, and Edgar Snow came to Shanghai to work for the UPI. Both of those men told us the story of China along with 50 other people over the course of 20 years, all of whom got their jobs through Dean Walter Williams. So every word, essentially every word that came out of Shanghai and Beijing for that period of time, those words came from a typewriter written by somebody from the Missouri School of Journalism. It's just phenomenal when you think about that. Absolutely phenomenal. My great uncle was interned on a prison ship for 18 months by the Japanese. When he was released, he went to the Tokyo News Bureau of Associated Press, and then later he went to Seoul, and after Seoul he came back and he went to work for the Joplin Globe, where he wrote editorials. All of these people lived incredible lives. Edgar Snow wrote any number of books. I don't know if you've read them, but you need to. One is called Red Star Over China. It chronicles Mao Zedong's rise to power. The other one is called The Long Journey. It's a story of the millions of people who died in the process of retreating from the Japanese and KMT forces during World War II, or prior to World War II. Incredible books, incredible people, larger than life. In Shanghai at the time that the Missouri Mafia really began to take control, the British had a big news bureau, and they controlled in most respects everything that was said in China until we arrived. They called us the bumbling pumpkins of Missouri, or we were the wild cowboys of Missouri. But what we did is we really did establish a presence, and we did use some sharp elbows to eventually tell our story from a U.S. standpoint versus one from the standpoint of the British Empire. The second story I want to talk about is something that's similar, in the sense that we can look back at China and we can say, this is what happened. This was the picture. This was the panorama of history. But what we don't have today is a perspective of what's happened in terms of civil rights and human rights from the 1960s until today. I think that what happened was, after World War II, our servicemen came back and joined their families, and they had a sense that we fought for the freedom of others, but we also realized, they also realized, that we didn't have freedom in this country for everybody else. And so beginning in 1960, with the civil rights movement, we saw a surge of people who said, I deserve a place at the table. Women's rights in the 1970s and 80s became an important factor in our political system. And then in 1981, a man showed up at County USC Hospital with a disease that nobody knew about. Nobody knew about it. They didn't recognize it. From 1981 until 1990, about 1.5 million people in this country died of AIDS and HIV. During the 80s, it wasn't discussed within the administration. It was a topic that was verboten. The White House never mentioned it. But at the same time, there were families who were caring for their sons and their nephews and their neighbors and their co-workers, their friends. This disease affected everybody. But I will say that on the backs of all those who died is a movement today to give LGBT people a voice at the table and equality. And I look at this and I'm actually amazed. I remember in 1991 or 92, I was in LA, and we were discussing the idea of same-sex marriage, and this was at my church. And this is something that'll never happen. It'll never happen in my lifetime. Boy, was I surprised But when you think about what journalism did, when everybody else wasn't talking about it, journalists were taking pictures of it. They were giving names to those faces. And that's where I think we began to see that people living amongst us who had long lived in the shadows, those people began to see that these are our families. And I think that in that recognition, when we began to see who gay people are and who they were, that's where it all began. In any event, I have to say that it's affected my life deeply. I will say that I'm 63 years old, and I have to say I don't know many people my age. I don't know a lot of men my age who are alive today. It's like an absent demographic that's just gone from the gay community. I have a lot of friends who are younger. I have friends who are older, but very few friends who are my age. So I think it's a story to talk about. I don't think we have the perspective yet, but I don't think there's anybody who can do it better than the Missouri School of Journalism. They can tell that story, and I think there is a story to tell. So I'm really glad to be here. As you can tell, this means a whole lot to me, and I'm just very thankful that I'm able to do this. So thank you very much.
Very well said. And Tim, we're so proud of you as a Mizzou alum with that family heritage, and we're very, very grateful for this amazing leadership gift. We will be staying around for some media questions. We're not going to take questions from the podium, but we'd be glad to do that afterwards. And as I mentioned, we will be having a little bit of a reception. We've got some nice cupcakes over here as well, so you have to, they've got all 4 food groups. So with no further ado, let me ask, and I do want to mention one other person. Is Drew Elmore here? Drew, where are you? Drew's in front here. Drew helped work on that gift as well with Tim and built that relationship, so we really appreciate Drew's work as well. So the only other thing that I want to do is ask one more round of applause for our guest of honor today, Tim Blair. Thank you very much, and we'll stay around. Thank you.